Today we will begin with a new chapter in history, that is advent of the English East India Company. Okay. Now in the last class you have learnt about the decline of the Mughal Empire, and we learnt that after the most powerful Mughal emperors, gradually the empire declined because the later Mughals were not very powerful. So these incompetent rulers could not rule the empire, and gradually it declined, and then arose new independent kingdoms. Kingdoms of Hyderabad, kingdoms of Oudh, okay, and the Sikhs, the Marathas. We have learnt about these independent kingdoms. So what happened was, for many years, there was political instability in the country because of the decline of the Mughal Empire, and these independent kingdoms that arose were also fighting, okay, had rivalry among each other. The other European countries were aware of this political instability in the country. Secondly, the Mughal emperors did not guard the naval base of the country. So the Indian coast was like an easy destination for the European powers. And these European powers, the European countries, were always wanting to have trade with India. India in those times was very famous for its rich civilization and the natural resources that it had. It had an immense wealth. So these European countries wanted to trade with India. Vasco da Gama was the first sailor or navigator who discovered this sea route to India. Vasco da Gama made the first trip. Okay, this was in the 15th century from Europe. You can see here, this is British Island here, from Europe to India. This is India here, via the Cape of Good Hope. You can see the places in India here, that is Bombay, Madras and Calcutta. So soon after Portugal, there were other trading companies, that was from Denmark, France and England also followed Portugal. The Portuguese had their settlements in India. They succeeded in establishing their trading centers in Kochi, which is in southern India, Goa, okay, and Daman and Diu, which is a union territory of India. So the Portuguese established their trading companies. Now what did they do? They bought the Indian goods at a very low price, and they sold this in the European market at a very higher price. Okay? Then the next were the Denmark or the Dutch trading companies in India. The Dutch were attracted to the spice market in India. So they formed their company, that is a Dutch East India Company, in the year 1602. They had the establishment of their factories located at Masulipatam, Surat, Cochin and Karaikal. Now when we speak about factories, you should know that these factories did not manufacture goods. Okay? These factories were like a warehouse, a storehouse where they stored their goods. It was like a residential quarters for their employees. Some factories also had offices where they would maintain or keep their records. So the Dutch had factories at Masulipatam, which is also known as Machilipatnam, which is in Andhra Pradesh, Surat, which is in Gujarat, Kochi in southern India, and Karaikal. The Dutch, what did they export? They exported cotton, clothes, raw silk, opium and indigo. So the Dutch also had establishment in India in the 17th century. Next we have the English East India Company, that is the British. Now the British formed their company, English East India Company, in 1600. And this was formed by private merchants after they received a royal charter from Queen Elizabeth I. And according to this charter, this charter was granted to these merchants. This charter granted the merchants, the traders, the sole rights to trade with the eastern countries. That means the companies in England, no other companies in England would compete with this East India Company, and only these companies had the right to have trade with India or in the eastern countries. Now, in 1608, the English East India Company started establishing their factories in India. Okay, I have told you what the factories were. So what the British would do, they would purchase these Indian goods at a very lower or cheap rate, and they would sell this in the European market at a very higher price. And Queen Elizabeth also herself was a shareholder in this company. So this was quite profitable. Now the first factory that they established was at Surat in the year 1612. In 1615, Sir Thomas Roe, who was from England, he visited the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir. If you recall, in class 7 we have learnt about the Mughal emperors. Okay? And Jahangir was one of the Mughal emperor, was a son of Emperor Akbar. So Sir Thomas Roe visited the court of Jahangir to take permission or obtain the rights for the English East India Company. The Emperor Jahangir gave the permission to the English East India Company along with some concession. So they went forward in establishing their factories, and they established their factories at Surat, which is in Gujarat, Bharuch, today it is known as Roch, okay, Agra, Ahmedabad and Masulipatam. Okay, we are going to locate these places later on the map. Now the British East India Company started fortifying the places, fortification of trading post. In 1639, the English East India Company received Madras. Madras is known as Chennai today. So they received Madras from a local ruler. They began with their establishment and fortified the place. This place was known as Fort St. George. So they named it as Fort St. George. This is the ancient picture of the Fort St. George, and this is a present picture of the Fort St. George. Now, King Charles II of England received the island of Bombay, which is known as Mumbai today, as a wedding gift. So as a dowry, he received the island of Mumbai, the Bombay, when he got married to the Portuguese princess Catherine of Braganza. In 1688, he rented out this island of Bombay or Mumbai to the English East India Company. So now they have fortifications at Madras and Bombay. They also received the settlement or the area at Calcutta, which is today known as Kolkata, in the year 1690. They fortified this place and named it as Fort William. This is a picture of Fort William, okay, and this is the present picture of Fort William, which is in Kolkata. So now they had the Madras, okay, fortifications at Madras, fortifications at Mumbai. Mumbai was an important trading center in the west coast of India, okay, and Madras was towards the southern India, and they had Calcutta towards the eastern part of India. Now these three were their headquarters. the headquarters of the British, which was known as the presidencies. Now these three presidencies, that is the Madras, the Mumbai and Calcutta, okay, was placed under the governor. Now another trading company that came to India were the French. French in India. French East India Company was established in the year 1664. They founded the factory, the first factory at Pondicherry. Pondicherry today is known as Puducherry. They first set up their settlements at Masulipatam, okay, and Surat. And as British were busy fortifying the places and beginning with their fortifications in the other areas, in the western and eastern and the southern areas, the French also founded settlements at Mahe and Chandarnagar. Okay? So these were the settlements in French. Now, towards the end of the 17th century, there were about 4 trading companies in India. They were the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French and the British. These 4 trading companies were always competing with each other and having rivalry amongst them, okay, to have a better hold in the country or to have or excel in the trade and to make the maximum profit. But towards the beginning of the 18th century, the Portuguese and the Dutch lost their trading hold or trading post in India. So it was only the British and the French. These 2 European powers emerged as the best trading companies in India. The British now wanted to eliminate its rival, that was the France. So, because of the trading interest, the trade business, the trade interest between the Britain and France, they had rivalry or conflicts among themselves. This led to a series of wars in India, which are known as the Carnatic Wars or the Anglo-French Wars. The Carnatic Wars were fought between 1746 to 1763. There were about 3 Carnatic Wars. The first Carnatic War was between 1746 to 1748. The second Carnatic War was between 1749 to 1754. And the third Carnatic War was between 1756 to 1763. Now, why were these wars known as the Carnatic Wars? It is mainly because the Carnatic Wars were fought in the Carnatic region. The word Carnatic is given to us by the British. Now this region, this is a map of South India and this marks the Carnatic region in India in the 18th century. Okay, this is in present day Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Let me mark a few places, locate a few places for you here. This is Masulipatam, also known as Machilipatnam, which is in southern India. This is Madras, which was one of the presidency of the British. And then you have Mahe here, this side of the southern coast. So this is the Carnatic region. Now let us learn about the first Carnatic War. In 1740, a war broke out in England between the British and the France. This war was over the colonies in America. So, the British and the French, they were not only the commercial rivals in India over trade, but they were also political rivals in Europe. So, because of this war, the War of Austrian Succession, which arose in 1740 in Europe, because of this war, the Carnatic War, the first Carnatic War began in India. So the First Carnatic War started with the result of the War of Austrian Succession in Europe between England and France. Now what happened was the Americans or the British, they attacked the naval base of the French and they captured the navy ships of the French. And the French governor in those times, Joseph Dupleix, when he got to know about it, he retaliated by capturing Madras. Now Madras, if you remember, was a presidency of the British. And Madras was also a part of a territory of the Nawab of Carnatic. The Nawab of Carnatic during those times was Nawab Anvaruddin Khan. So the British wanted the Madras back from the French. So what did they do? They asked Anvaruddin Khan for help. Anvaruddin Khan, Nawab Anvaruddin Khan, he ordered Dupleix, Joseph Dupleix, who was the governor of French, to return Madras to him. But he refused. The French refused to return Madras. As a result of this, when Joseph Dupleix refused to hand over Madras, that was a St. George fort, to the Nawab sent an army, his troops, to fight with the French. But what happened in the course of event was the Nawab's army was severely defeated by the French. And in 1748, the War of Austrian Succession, the war that was fought between the England and France, came to an end by signing a treaty. According to the terms of the treaty, Madras was to be returned to the British. Simultaneously, the First Carnatic War also ended in India. And because of the terms of the treaty, Madras was restored to the British. Now, what was the result of this war? Was the British restored Madras as per the terms of the treaty that was signed after the war. Secondly, the war revealed the weakness of the Indian rulers. As we have seen, that the Nawab of Carnatic, Anvaruddin Khan, failed to stop the war in his territory. Thirdly, war enhanced the prestige of the French. That is, it established the fact that the European powers were far more superior than Indian power in terms of strength. And secondly, it also revealed the fact that the French army and navy were supreme to the Indians. So in today's class, we have learned about the 4 trading companies that came to India. All these companies came with an aim to have trade in India. In the beginning of the 18th century, the Portuguese and the Dutch lost their control, the trading posts in India. So it was only the Britain and France, the 2 significant European powers. And then because of this trading interest, the Britain and France had wars, the Carnatic Wars in India. We have also learned about the First Carnatic War, the cause of the First Carnatic War, and the result of the First Carnatic War. In the next class, we are going to learn about the Second Carnatic War and the Third Carnatic War. Thank you.